Once upon a time, in a picturesque village nestled gently between rolling green hills and golden fields of wheat, there lived a curious young girl named Emily. The village was small, the kind of place where everyone knew one another, where mornings began with the sound of roosters crowing and evenings ended with warm lamps glowing behind wooden windows. Stone cottages lined narrow paths, and a slow river shimmered nearby, reflecting the sky like a silver ribbon. Emily had lived in this village all her life. To many, it was a peaceful and complete world, but to Emily, it felt like the beginning of something larger, something waiting beyond the hills. Emily was 12 years old, with bright, observant eyes, and a mind that never seemed to rest. While other children spent their days chasing butterflies or playing games in the fields, Emily was often found sitting quietly under the old oak tree near her home, staring into the distance and wondering about places she had never seen. She was different, not in a way that made her lonely, but in a way that made her curious beyond her years. What fascinated Emily most was language, especially the English language. She had first heard English spoken years ago, when a group of travelers passed through the village. Their words sounded musical, mysterious, and powerful. Though she couldn't understand what they were saying at the time, something about the rhythm and confidence of their speech stirred something deep inside her. From that moment on, Emily wanted to learn English, not just to speak it, but to understand the stories, ideas, and worlds hidden within it. Unfortunately, opportunities to learn English in the village were limited. There was no proper school teaching foreign languages, only a small classroom where children learned basic reading, writing, and arithmetic. Emily's teacher knew only a few English words, but she encouraged Emily's curiosity and told her that knowledge always finds those who seek it. Emily took those words to heart. One sunny afternoon, when the sky was painted a soft blue and the air smelled of wildflowers, Emily finished her chores earlier than usual. She had fed the chickens, helped her mother knead bread dough, and carried water from the well. With the rest of the day free, she decided to take a walk through the village paths, a habit she often enjoyed, as walking helped her think. As she wandered along the dusty roadside near the edge of the village, her eyes caught sight of something unusual. Partially hidden beneath dry leaves and dirt lay an old, worn book. Its cover was cracked, its pages yellowed with age, and it looked as though it had been forgotten by the world. Emily's heart quickened. She knelt down and gently picked it up, brushing away the dust with careful hands. The title was faint, but she could still make out the words written in elegant letters. "Stories in English," Emily gasped softly. Her fingers trembled as she opened the book. Inside were short stories, simple at first, yet beautifully written. Though she struggled to understand many of the words, she recognized enough to realize that this book was special. It felt like a treasure, a gift left just for her. Without hesitation, Emily hugged the book to her chest and hurried home. That evening, after dinner, Emily sat by the window in her small, cozy room. The sun dipped below the hills, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. A soft breeze fluttered the curtains as she opened the book once more. At first, reading was difficult. Emily read slowly, sounding out words under her breath. She stumbled, paused, reread sentences, and sometimes felt frustrated when meaning slipped away from her grasp. But she did not give up. Instead, she kept a notebook beside her, where she carefully wrote down unfamiliar words. Every word was a mystery waiting to be solved. Day after day, Emily followed the same routine. After completing her chores, she returned to her window seat with the book, her notebook, and a small dictionary her father had once bought from a traveling merchant. She began with simple stories about animals, clever foxes, loyal dogs, and brave little birds. These stories taught her basic words and gentle lessons. As her confidence grew, Emily moved on to stories about explorers, heroes, and magical lands. Each story opened a door to a new world. She learned words like adventure, hope, courage, and dream. Slowly, English stopped feeling foreign and began to feel familiar, almost like a friend. Emily's family noticed the change. Her parents often found her whispering English words as she worked, practicing pronunciation. Her younger brother laughed at first, but soon began asking her what the words meant. Even her grandmother, who could not read, listened with interest as Emily explained stories aloud in her own words. One evening, while reading by the soft glow of a candle, Emily encountered a story about a courageous princess who stood up against an evil sorcerer to protect her kingdom. The story was thrilling, filled with danger and hope. But then Emily reached a word she did not recognize. Fearless. She paused. The word seemed powerful, important. Emily felt that understanding it would unlock something meaningful in the story. She quickly reached for her dictionary, flipping through its pages until she found the word. Fearless, brave and unafraid. Emily smiled. She repeated the word softly, fearless, and felt its strength. Carefully, she wrote it in her notebook, underlining it twice. From that day on, fearless became her favorite word. It reminded her of the princess, of courage, and of herself. As weeks turned into months, Emily's English skills improved remarkably. She could read longer passages without stopping, understand conversations, and even form sentences on her own. Sometimes, when travelers passed through the village, Emily gathered the courage to greet them in English. At first, her voice shook, but each conversation made her stronger. One day, during a lively festival in the village square, colorful banners fluttered in the wind, and music filled the air. Vendors sold sweets, children laughed, and lanterns glowed as evening approached. That was when Emily noticed a small group of tourists speaking English among themselves. Her heart raced. This was her chance. Taking a deep breath, Emily walked toward them. With a polite smile, she greeted them in English. The tourists looked surprised, then delighted. They asked her name, where she had learned English, and how old she was. Emily answered confidently, her words flowing more smoothly than she had ever imagined. The conversation lasted several minutes, but for Emily, it felt like a dream. The tourists were deeply impressed, not only by her language skills, but by her determination and curiosity. Before leaving, they encouraged her to continue learning and told her that the world was full of opportunities for someone like her. That night, Emily could hardly sleep. Her mind buzzed with possibilities. Months later, fate offered Emily a remarkable opportunity. One of the travelers returned to the village and offered Emily the chance to join a cultural learning journey with proper guidance and education. It was a chance to see the world she had only read about. With mixed emotions, Emily said goodbye to her village. Tears filled her mother's eyes, pride shone in her father's smile, and her grandmother whispered blessings into her hair. As Emily traveled to distant lands, she encountered diverse cultures, made friends from different countries, and learned more languages. Yet English remained her foundation, the key that unlocked every door. Years later, Emily returned to her village, not as a curious girl, but as a confident young woman. She brought books, knowledge, and hope with her. She taught children, shared stories, and reminded them that even the smallest village could raise someone who touched the world. And though she had traveled far and wide, Emily never forgot the dusty old book she found on the roadside, the book that ignited her passion, shaped her destiny, and proved that learning could truly change a life. Because sometimes, all it takes is one story to begin your own. If story is interesting, like and subscribe our channel.